Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Elsa. I am a yoga teacher and a clinical psychologist slash psychotherapist. And thanks to all the support I received on my last video about my horrible, in my opinion, therapy experience as a client, I felt inspired to share with you my story how I became a therapist, why I became a therapist. And yeah, in hopes you find this entertaining or maybe inspiring for some, or just, because I want to film this as my video diary, I guess. So, nobody just comes to therapy or especially choosing mental health as a profession out of nowhere, right? And if you saw my previous videos, especially about like pretty privilege and decentering men, you know that I had a few traumatic episodes in my childhood, but I wish it started there. When I was born, we're going far in the past, right? When I was born, I had a birth induced trauma to my neck. Like my neck is a bit twisted and I'm missing a half of my vertebrae. So obviously, it impacted my development as a kid and as an adult. But I was born and raised in Russia, and now I live in St. Petersburg, which is like the second biggest city in Russia and most educated city in Russia. But I was born in the far, far east of Russia, and I wasn't even born in a city. It's like a small town with like 15,000 population in a pretty Soviet household. So I don't know, it's just like you're born, you're alive, cool. That's pretty much enough. And of course my parents were concerned about my health. I was like brought to doctors every year just to check on like my spinal development and like on my brain development, if I'm okay or no, because pretty much doctors told them that I was like one step away from being paralyzed. I know how to say it in Russian, it's DCP, but I don't know how to say it in English. Maybe I will put it somewhere there. But pretty much that it was a miracle that I am like able-bodied kid. I was not allowed to like do any sports. My doctors were not even happy with me playing music. But yeah, everybody were concerned about my neck and like how it affects my vision, my posture, blah blah blah. But again, it was 90s, it was Russia. Russia is still quite a tough country, but back then, yeah, they were concerned about like arrested development, but mental health, what, like suck it up, like life is hard, don't be a pussy, I don't know. Like they just didn't really care. And for most of my childhood, I was a very, very, very highly sensitive kid. I was also a very smart kid. So they did not even think of diagnosing me with autism because I was like grades smart, even like smarter than most of the kids in my class, but whatever. But I always felt a bit like ostracized. I always had problem with understanding social cues, and I had problems with emotional regulation, especially like if there are some other external factors at play. Like for example, I can be having fun like playing with kids, but then I hear some sad music at the background. It completely like takes me out of this fun game experience, and I just start crying because I get so emotionally affected by this music. But my parents were like, no, that's just her character, whatever. Plus, after my birth, my mom got very sick. So it's like, I wasn't like, my soul was not a priority in our household. And so in school, growing up, I was heavily bullied. I didn't have any like romantic interest whatsoever. I had like a SA when I was 7 years old. So that stopped me from looking at men until the very, I don't know, like the age of 17, 18, 19. And yeah, I just always felt a bit weird. And because of heavy bullying, because of my like eating disorder that started developing in early teenage years, thanks to 2000s thin, skinny culture and everything, right? I was depressed as long as I remember myself. I always felt like I am wrong, just like fundamentally something is wrong with me, and the easiest way is just like to finish this life and start all over. Um, so yeah, I remember in the age of like 15, 16, when I had a very severe episode of my eating disorder, I was asking my parents to send me to this psych ward to get some help. But again, my parents were brought in Soviet Union. They have their own issues. Like, I understand where they're coming from, but basically I was denied that because they said if they put me in a psych ward, yeah, I'm suffering now, but I will have a record and it will affect my education and my career and pretty much know, like, figure it out. And so fast forward to when I start making some decent money and I started therapy on my own, which was like, I think first I started therapy when I was like 21 or 22. I had a severe, like, dissociative depression from 19, almost 20, till like late 21, almost 22. I have almost no recollection of this 1.5 year of my life. Like, it was bad. And so slowly I started like getting myself out of it. I started doing mindfulness practices. I was always interested in Buddhism, so even reading some philosophy books, I started practicing mindfulness, and I started doing a bit of yoga, and I started doing therapy. And fast forward to a couple years after, I started living, like, we untangled some of my issues. I realized that, like, nothing is fundamentally wrong with me, I guess. I mean, there are some things that are messed up in my system, but last thing I have to do is to guilt myself, like blame myself in it. And kind of therapy made me accept myself, rebuild some defense systems that, like, in traumatic moments of my life, yeah, I couldn't protect myself, but in order to heal myself and my psyche, we, like, with my therapists, were coming back to some traumatic moments and healing them in my memory, at least. And somehow, I mean, it took almost a decade, honestly. Like, it's not a fast process. I stopped having self-exiting thoughts, which I started having, I think, in the age of like 12 or 13. And the only reason I did not end myself is because I felt guilty for my mom, because she was like, she became sick after giving birth to me. So I was like, I already brought so much suffering for her, and now by offing myself, I will bring another like pint of suffering. I didn't want to do that, so I'm like, okay, I will wait. I will not finish myself yet. But then, it's just like when you walk your entire life kind of in a darkness, surrounded by nothing but pain and misery, um, and you somehow find a way out of it. And not only you find the way out of it, you find the way to not only forgive yourself for walking all these years in self-inflicted suffering and pain, but also you manage to see the fact that you walked through this horrible depressive moments and end up on the other side as like some heroic act in your own movie, in your own book. This bring this still brings a lot of joy and a lot of happiness to me. And once I started getting better, I realized that like it is my duty to help someone who feels as inadequate as me, or like as broken as me, as, I don't know, unfixable, as weird as me, to help them navigate that, to at least help them make peace within themselves. And I saved some money and I applied for like my second degree in clinical psychology. And every day of me studying and every day after that, I just realized that I made the right choice. Um, I specifically chosen clinical psychology because most of my life I was thinking I have some personality disorder. I thought like I am that messed up. I have to be bipolar, or I have to be borderline, or like what's wrong with me? Maybe I'm antisocial. What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? As far as all the testing says, I don't have any personality disorder. I do suspect some autism in me. Thank God now we have less stigma surrounding autism, and that it's not only like it doesn't look only one way, but yeah, it is still up to me to discover that. I don't want to go through psychiatric appointments in Russia, and yeah, but okay, that's for another that's for another time. But yeah, I feel like I am living, breathing testimony that therapy works. With time, plus with some medication lately, I managed to almost heal my eating disorder. I managed to almost heal completely my body dysmorphia. There are actually some days when I'm like, hey, I do have a good body. Really? Really? Like, I'm not a giant elephant. Like, I don't have to hate myself. How is this possible, really? But yeah, it still sometimes hits deep. And I do wish that, especially in my country, like in Russia, therapy will become more and more normalized, because even working with my clients, I see how in like 5-10 sessions we do change the quality of their lives tremendously. And yeah, I feel like because I managed to go through all that, I remember clear as day, like me laying down on the floor of the like, how to say, like shower cabin, but I was laying down on the floor crying, contemplating, just cutting my veins. Not that many years ago, to me being like, hey, no, I actually enjoy living and I want to continue living, and there's so much to it. And like, yeah, I don't know, it's just, I know that depression and self-hate and everything is not someone just being too sensitive or someone just not having enough things to do, like being too spoiled and finding some reasons to be unhappy. No, sometimes it goes really deep. And yeah, I felt an obligation, a calling, if you will, to help others, and I'm happy I'm doing that. I hope I do more good than bad, even though sometimes I'm pretty harsh with my clients, but when I feel like I need to be. And yeah, good therapy exists. Therapy can change lives for better. And again, if you ever tried therapy and you were like, that shit doesn't work, what the hell is that? Or if you, like me, left even more traumatized after therapy session, please don't feel discouraged. And if you feel like you've tried so hard and got so far, but in the end it doesn't really matter, no, please do try again. It has compounding effect. Like you're trying, nothing's working, nothing working. You feel like shit, you hate yourself, you hate your life, blah, 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 but you're still trying. And then suddenly, like that, life just shows you that it has more colors than just black and gray, Yeah, I am happy to say that I do not take any antidepressants since 2020, 2021 maybe. Yeah, since the end of 2021, I do not take any antidepressant medication, and I sleep well, I eat well, I have some friendly connections. I speak kindly to myself. I speak kindly to my body. Yeah, it's just the life on the other side of depression exists. And even if you were diagnosed like me with chronic clinical depression, it doesn't mean it has to stay with you forever. Like, it does not mean that. I thought my depression is with me forever because it was as familiar as the texture of my hair or my name to me. It was like something that was with me all the freaking time as long as I remember myself. But no, hey, I am free from depression, and I know myself, I know my character, I know where I have to be kinder to myself. I know in what cases I have to ask for help, in which places I should not be, which places are healing me and like making me happy. And this is thanks to years of working on myself, self discovery, healing, and yeah, many, many, many thousands spent on on therapists, but every dollar spent was worth it. That's my story. This is how I became a therapist. Long story short, very fucked up life, hating myself, wanted to kill myself, ended up loving myself, loving my life, and helping others. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully I gave you some hope that if you're in a dark place right now, it's not going to last forever. And yeah, if you want to work with me, you can always email me. I have the links in the bio of this channel. But thank you for watching. Take care of yourself, be kind to yourself, and maybe schedule an appointment with a therapist. Thank you.